There's actually something I really like specifically with SIM cards, and that is speeds. There's nothing that actually makes me happy than doing a speed test and then I get a result of 500 megabits per second downloads, 700 or even 1 gigabit, meaning 1000 megabits per second. Besides speeds, I also care about coverage, and especially when the coverage is most extensive out there compared to all the other operators. And of course, speed is important. It can be all great, but if they charge me 1000 USD, well, then I'm not gonna go with. And if one operator has these 3 things, then I'm super happy. And that's where Boost Mobile comes in. It has fast speeds, especially nowadays that it has 5G access on the Telstra network. It has access to the full Telstra network compared to most MVNOs, meaning that it has access to 1 million more square kilometers than the other competitors, and it's much cheaper than Telstra itself and some other MVNOs. So I like Boost Mobile so much that I would even wear a Boost Mobile hat, but it looks ridiculous with this hair. Hi, it's Otto from Phone Tourist here, where we talk about everything related to traveling with your phone, such as Australian SIM cards, or in this case, Boost Mobile Australia. If videos like this are interesting to you, make sure to subscribe to this channel. In Australia, you actually have 15 SIM cards that are easily accessible to travelers. And maybe an Australian watching this video and saying, well, there are many more options than 15, up to 40. But I say easily accessible for travelers, meaning that they can just go to a store of a mobile operator or reseller without having to go to like one of the 2 stores in one, let's say state, let's say in Victoria, or they have to order a SIM card. So you have these 15 options. You have 3 main operators, which are Telstra, Optus and Vodafone Australia, also known as TPG Telecom, and you have many MVNOs, mobile virtual network operators, using the networks of the big 3. And in this case, Boost Mobile uses the network of Telstra, and they have some sort of an exclusive agreement, meaning that they can use the full Telstra network, which is the best of the best in Australia, whereas other Telstra MVNOs have the wholesale network, which has 1 million square kilometer that's what I wanted to say, less coverage than the full Telstra network. Why Boost Mobile has this exclusive access, I don't actually know, but it's a good thing for us who want to get good coverage, which you really need if you want to go to the outback or regional Australia, where the other operators, well, don't work at all, and then you can use your Telstra/Boost Mobile SIM card. Also be aware that in Australia, 2G is no more. So if you have such an old phone that it can only use 2G, probably not, because, well, yeah, probably not. 2G is not available, and 3G is shutting down in 2024 on the Telstra and Optus network. So if you want to go with Boost and you have a phone that's up to 3G, well, you would have to update if you come to Australia. So yeah, be aware of that. Okay, so how much does a Boost SIM card cost? Well, if you go to any reseller like a Woolworths store, Coles, or even 7-Elevens, you can often get a Boost Mobile SIM card for $2 Australian. I will also have some conversion on the screen in USD, New Zealand dollar, euro and British pound, so you can get an idea. And this SIM card is just the SIM card with no perks. There are the starter packs starting from 10 Australian dollar all the way up to 300, but these of course includes perk, because it will be criminal if they charge you 300 Australian dollar and you can just, well, you only get a SIM card. Be aware that eSIM is not available with Boost Mobile yet, and I say yet because I have been told that it's coming soon. You may be watching this video in the future and eSIM may be available, which is cool, but at the time of recording, it's not available yet, but it will be there. But later in the video, I will also give you some travel eSIM recommendations in case you really want to use an eSIM. Okay, so where to buy yourself a Boost Mobile SIM card? Well, unlike the big 3, which will be Telstra, Optus and Vodafone Australia, Boost Mobile does not have its own store, so you have to go to resellers. Like I already mentioned, you can go to Coles, Woolworths, 7-Eleven, some gas stations will sell you a SIM card. There's no Boost Mobile store, so yeah, be aware of that. Also, Boost Mobile SIM cards are not sold at any international airport that I'm aware of. So let's say if you fly to Melbourne or Sydney airport and you think, hey, let me get myself a Boost Mobile SIM card, at least for those 2 airports, not there. Maybe some regional airport, but well, why would they? So probably not. Also be aware that SIM card registration is mandatory here in Australia, and luckily the registration process is very easy. You do it online, you fill in some details, your visa details and passport details, and within 5 minutes you should be activated. And speaking of SIM card registration, if you go to ptw.link/registration, you will get access to my SIM card registration lookup tool, where you can easily find what the requirements are per country, in case you are, let's say, planning to go to New Zealand or Indonesia and you want to know, hey, do I need to show my passport or not? So yeah, make sure to use the tool for other countries you visit. Okay, topping topping up your Boost Mobile SIM card, you can actually get vouchers at some stores, usually at Kohl's and Woolworths. I'm not too sure about 7-Elevens, but well, you can try. But actually the easiest way to top up is using the website, the online recharge page, or on the Boost Mobile app. But let's say if you use a voucher, then you have to dial *111 pound key, select option 2 and enter the voucher code. And if you want to check your balance, you can use the app, or you dial *111 pound key or hashtag, depending on how you know the sign, and you select option 3 and then you will see your balance. Just like most Australian operators, auto renewal will be either enabled by default, or they would highly recommend you / encourage you to enable it. Well, let's say if you only stay in Australia for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you probably want to cancel auto renew, because otherwise you'll be charged for something you're not using. So make sure to turn it off. It can easily be done on my account or on the My Boost app or Boost Mobile app. Okay, so let's talk about plans. But before we do so, I want to quickly tell you that mobile data rates in Australia are surprisingly cheap. Maybe some Australians will say that, well, it's expensive, but then they will go to another country, let's say New Zealand, and then they will charge you double or triple even for, let's say, 10 gigabytes of data, or it's not even available there because, well, the data plans are much lower, or data allowances, or some other countries. So mobile data is actually cheap, and they are very generous with the data allowances here, and the same applies for Boost Mobile. So let's just look at the plans. You actually have 4 different options. The first one is the starter pack, where for $10 you'll get 3 gigabytes of data, unlimited local minutes, unlimited local SMS, valid for 7 days. And because Boost Mobile is trying out the 5G network of Telstra, I'm almost certain that all plans, including the one I just mentioned, can use 5G, or the ones that are a little bit more expensive. Then you have the 28-day plans, which are the most popular Boost Mobile plans, which are valid for, as the name says, 28 days with 5G access. You have these options from $20 Australian all the way up to 70. You can get 5 gigabytes of data up to 65 with unlimited local / international minutes. More about that later. International minutes to zone 2 countries, and international SMS all the way for 28 days. While your local / international minute, which says unlimited, is available to 20 different countries that I'm showing you on the screen. Whereas the one from zone 2, which actually have minutes, these are to these countries, which I'm also showing you on the screen. And for international SMS, I actually made a mistake earlier. You can text to any country where you want to. It doesn't have to be a zone 1 or zone 2 country that I just showed you. So if you want to text to, I don't know, Papua New Guinea or Ghana, you can do so without being charged, which is actually quite cool and quite, I wouldn't say exclusive to Australia, but quite normal in Australia that you get unlimited minutes and SMS, which, well, I love that. So one thing that's actually cool with Australia and quite normal in Australia here is a thing called data rollover or data banking, where you can, well, roll over your data allowance. So let's say you buy a 30 gigabyte data plan and you only use 20 gigabyte and you renew the plan, then you can use, of course, the new 30 gigabyte of data and the 10 gigabyte you didn't use the last month, which is quite cool. And with Boost Mobile, it's only up to 1 recharge, whereas some other mobile operators, they give you like an allowance to 50 or 200 gigabyte. And there's also one that has no like limit. So let's say you have like 1 terabyte of data in your data bank, you can actually do so. But with Boost Mobile, it's only for 1 recharge. Then you have the 12-month plans, which are amazing for those who don't want to be charged like that often, or they want to get the best value for the money, or working holiday makers like myself who are, I don't know, well, in my case, I'm not going to work for a farm, but let's say people who work for a farm or hospitality, stay for Australia for a year, you can get this plan. And if you divide it by month, it will be cheaper than most of the 28-day plans, where you have these 2 options. For $200 Australian, you get 140 gigabyte of data. For 300, you get 260 gigabyte of data. And then you also get local / international minutes to zone 1 and 2 countries. And then it's valid for, well, 12 months, basically a year. Then you have the data packs, which are basically data add-ons in case you run out of data. You can get an additional 1 gigabyte of data for $4 Australian, which is only valid for 7 days. And for $20 Australian, you can get another 4 gigabytes valid for 28 days. So those are the plans with Boost Mobile, which are, like I said, very generous, especially compared to New Zealand and actually many other countries around the world, or at least in the area, so Pacific, Oceania. But as I mentioned earlier, is that eSIMs are not available with Boost Mobile yet, and SIM card registration is mandatory. I know there are some travelers, at least according to some phone travelers reader, that they don't want to deal with any SIM card registration, or they really want eSIM because, well, they love eSIMs. So I actually have 3 eSIM recommendations for you that I will quickly tell you. And of course, there will be some discount codes as well, because, well, to get the best value for your money. So the one that I actually recommend the most is Airalo. with the Yes Go eSIMs for Australia, where you have 1 GB of data for 7 days or 3, 5, 10 GB of data for 30 days. These are good eSIMs and you actually have the best value for your money with good coverage and good speeds. And if you go to ptw.link/Australia-Airalo, you get the exclusive phone-to-Wiz reader, or in this case, watch deals. So upon checkout, you don't have to enter a code and you'll just get, well, the best deals available exclusive to us because, well, that's how we roll here. Then you also have eSIMs from Holafly in case you want a little bit more data than the ones provided by Airalo, starting from 10 GB of data up to 20, or actually you only have those two options. And if you use code phone2wiz upon checkout, you get 5% off your plan, which would be about 1.7 Australian dollar and 2.2 if I calculated correctly. So yeah, discounts are always cool instead of paying the full price. So if you want to get the direct link to the eSIM, go to ptw.link/Australia-Holafly, and of course all these links are in the description down below. And then I actually have a third one that I like, but for some reason it's not as great as in Australia as in other countries I've used, because most of the time it's on 3G, which are the eSIMs from Nomad. But because so far I'm still testing it, but I'm only on 3G most of the time, and well, why would I recommend an eSIM that's just slow? So in this case I'm not mentioning it. But if you want to see the options, make sure to go to ptw.link/Nomad-Australia. But one cool thing, if you get a Nomad eSIM for Australia or any other country, make sure to use code AUDU123 and then you get $3 off your order. You can also change the currency to Canadian dollar, British pound, or euro, so the discount could be between 1.5 to 3.5 depending on the currency you use. But my top recommendation is Airalo, and especially the 3 GB version is popular with the phone-to-Wiz reader or watchers like yourself. And my collaboration with Holafly is new, so I don't have that much data yet which one is popular. I myself went with the 20 GB version because I always like to have as much data as possible. So that's what you need to know about Boost Mobile Australia. Does it sound good to you? Do you think it will be a SimCard that you want to go, or do you think that you will get another SimCard or maybe even a different eSIM? Make sure to let me know in the comments down below. But let's say you think that, well, Boost Mobile sounds good, but what are your other options? What about Telstra itself? Is it good? Well, it is actually the best in Australia and it's also fast. Well, make sure to check out my Australia Explored series where I talk about each mobile operator individually, and then I talk just like here with Boost Mobile, tell you everything you need to know, which you can see somewhere on the screen up here. Or if you read this on the phone2wiz.com website, there will be a link to the playlist underneath this video. Or if you scroll to the dedicated section, let's say to the Telstra section, you will see the Telstra video there as well. So those are your options. That's it for today. That's about Boost Mobile, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.